All I do is spend my time waiting for you to get off your effing phone.
Oh my God! You're constantly on your phone.
No, not when we're filming these. I'm not, because we're always filming them.
Oh, we're going to do a competition. Who's on the phone?
Yes, and you'd win.
If you want to see more of this sort of discussion, please check out our podcast, How to Stay Married So Far. Just telling them that we do a podcast as well as movie reviews.
Okay. Yeah, subscribe. Even if you don't like Sharp Objects, subscribe.
Yeah.
I think Sharp Objects is a bit of an acquired taste. That's
but we
my
wish more people were acquiring it because it's brilliant.
Yeah, but I did go into episode 4, I believe we're on now. I did go into this episode feeling they needed to up their ante somewhat, because I'm all for being a little bit lost and a little bit disorientated and having to kind of piece things together myself, but combined with what you've described as a problem with their audio, the sort of the accents, and yeah, I like all the flashbacks and I like all the flash forwards and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes it's so hard. I'm literally sitting like that, frowning into the screen. And it's so dark that if you've got a bit of sun on your screen, you're screwed. Yeah,
so we are flagging these things up, but we don't want you to put you off seeing the series, because we do think it's excellent. But if we hadn't been watching it on record today, I don't know what we would have done.
No,
because we had to multiple times rewind it, because things are going so... Suddenly things will go very fast, the audio will be odd, and then things will go very slowly.
I mean, our television's turned up to 100.
100. And even the kids are struggling.
We're still struggling with bits of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a good telly.
So I would, and it's not something, like, I was doing something on my phone, and Mark was like, you just missed, you have to be really
this is
attentive.
This is a pet gripe. Do other people have this? Directors spend hours, filmmakers spend hours shooting sequences. Nadia will say this kind of throwaway comment, oh no, even when it's my program's going out on television, I can do 2 things at once, but these are the shots we've shot.
What did I do? I put my phone down and said rewind.
It would be like me saying to you with an actor, don't pay attention to about a third of it in a play. Would you do it in a play?
Right.
Would you do it in a play?
No. Can we carry on? People are going to be bored.
Afford the filmmakers the same respect.
They want the review.
Yeah, well, the review is right. Go for it then.
Right, so the title of this film was Ripe, which did leave me a bit...
One of those words.
And sure enough, it was proven right at the end why we should feel...
Yeah, this was a very discombobulating episode, to quote you, Nadia.
It was discombobulating.
Because a word that Maddie suggested, actually, at one point, was it's all beginning to feel very incestuous.
Did she?
On all levels.
Yeah, it is. You don't really know who's doing who. You don't know who's gay, who's straight. You don't know who is the abuser and who has been abused.
You don't necessarily know who the flashbacks have happened to and who they haven't happened to.
Yeah, we've got amazing shoots of characters coming through that we just can't wait to be real. I mean, I've said it before, but oh my God, I would love to read this as a book. No, the new shoots in the characters that we've got.
Oh,
we know, like the daughter, the wayward sister, the daughter that the mum adores. She is just going to be fascinating as the series unfolds. And the stepfather.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember in episode 1 I said he's either like a saint or he has a very, very dark side.
Or he's a gimp.
And about 3/4 of the way into the episode today, I said to him, my God, this actor really is utterly brilliant. He's had about 3 lines, and yet we're completely captivated by his story. But about 2/3 in, he starts to reveal a bit more to us.
Well, let's just go back to the beginning. Let's just start with part 1, because it started with her getting up out of a field, and that kind of earmarked yet again her portrayal of drunkenness, which I kept hearing you quibbling about a few times. You were sort of debating whether she was drunk or not, or drinking or...
Well, I know about high-functioning alcoholics.
Oh, yeah.
But we are seeing her drinking almost non-stop.
But she's not drinking pure alcohol. No, she's not drinking
she's emptying those bottles and putting them...
Yeah, she'll be mixing it with water and stuff like that.
Why are we arguing about everything?
We're not arguing about everything. I can tell you, as a professional alcoholic, recovering, I can tell you that in the past, if she was drinking pure vodka, she would be keeling and all over the place all of the time, or there would be erratic moments where she's not able to hold it together during the day. I actually think some of those bottles are water, are her rehydrating as well. It's not just alcohol. But
suffice to say, we see her drinking a lot. Yeah. And I have, at the point I was moaning about it, there was one point in the show and I thought, oh, come on. She's not even stumbling. She's not fluffing her words. And
Yeah.
Mark said, well, no, I mean, at that stage of alcoholism, you're just topping yourself up to stay.
Yeah, they say an alcoholic, you know, a lot of people in AA will say that I would have a remarkable amount of alcohol just to top myself up, just to keep myself on the straight and narrow. There comes a point where you're actually drinking to be normal. And it makes you normal.
And she's a damn fine actress, so she'll have done a research.
But it's that
so it's a quibble, really.
But it's that fine line between staying sober and not staying sober.
But she does look like she's drinking too much, doesn't she? I love her.
I mean, in a good way.
It's completely unvain performance.
What I liked about the very beginning of the show was, and this was the sequence that I was saying, Nadia, you need to see this, was the meticulousness with which they showed the sheriff, for want of a better, the chief police officer, getting up and getting ready and being prepped and looked after by his wife. Right. I felt, you know...
Well, I think we're going to see more of.
Yeah, and he stopped in front of a crucifix and they made a real point of showing shots of her putting his music on. He's quite a precise guy. And that led me to think, you know, often when you see that portrayed in a programme, it's trying to tell you something more about the person. Maybe he's the killer. Maybe he's the killer. Wow. Absolutely. Yeah.
I haven't thought of him being the killer yet.
But I wonder whether he might be the killer, but he's working in cahoots with the mum.
Well, the mum.
And your theory
please, if you haven't watched it, please watch it.
I mean, your theory that they're having an affair was given total credence when after we'd had this montage of him being sort of prepped and got up by his wife, we cut straight to the mum in bed as well, don't we? And then, of course, we hear the stepfather, Amy Adams' stepfather character, confronting her mum about this close relationship with the chief inspector. So you were right, Nad, all along. That, you know, she.
And we see him arrive in the afternoon and leave late at night, and this incites the first sort of backbone that we've seen yet in her husband, and I loved it. It's full of promise.
What did you think of that really chilling scene where the younger Amy Adams saw the servant and the stepfather with the cake? I found that really eerie. You know, the happy birthday.
Yeah, cake. I would say this episode more than any other has left me more confused about who are the villains and who are the good. Who's the goodies and who's the baddies.
I thought it was a much more haunting episode.
It was very haunting.
I thought there were a lot of living ghosts.
Yeah.
You know how you can have ghosts, not just ghosts like the ghosts that are going to frighten Nadia tonight in the Clink Street Vaults, but ghosts like, you know, people can become ghosts.
Yeah.
You know, your former selves can be ghostly, and there was something about that moment where she was looking at them both standing in the kitchen and she said something about, you know, this is the wrong time. It was really eerie, really eerie. And then, of course, we've got the younger sister who's a great character. You love the younger character. But being just devilish in every conceivable way. Smoking pot, being provocative with Amy Adams about having bumped into her the night before.
There's even a sort of borderline sexual scene where she comes up behind her mother and dances with her mother very close.
She? Yeah.
And her mother's got this shimmering see-through negligee and you see like her body bend back into the daughter's.
Very odd.
It's very sexual, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, that's where Maddie suggested, God, it feels a bit incesty here, a bit kind of too intimate.
I have a couple of theories on the mum. I think she has Munchausen's by proxy, one thing, where she wants to keep her daughter ill and infantilized so that she keeps her near. But now we've had the whole lesbian storyline brought up by Amy Adams' character.
Yeah.
That maybe, and we're left thinking maybe her mother is a lesbian.
The reason this is quite a challenging programme, I think, to watch more than any other normal show is that you're asked to kind of construct things from flashbacks, construct things potentially from flash forwards. You're struggling to hear people, you're struggling to work out who's referring to who, but you're also having stories told by characters about other characters, and you don't know if those stories being told are true.
True.
So it's quite hard to orientate yourself. For example, there's a completely new storyline, a very odd scene that was introduced at the end of part one where the girls, the younger sister at school was rehearsing some event that they were going to do, and there was a piano player who was sort of, you know, the teacher, the piano teacher. And you sort of thought, it was a very odd scene. We haven't seen him before.
Very Lolita-like.
Very Lolita-like. It was obviously there to show us that she's quite sort of a tease and what have you, and she's trying to sort of test her power with men. But what about his character? Was he part there as a
part for the future.
Part for the future, do you think?
Yeah.
That almost felt a little bit clumsy if he was, because that was a bit kind of, oh, well, it could be him, because he's a weird piano teacher who doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is that what he's there for?
I think so.
Ah, right, okay.
You can come down.
You can come down, Maddie. What else did we like about this show? there was the whole scene where Amy Adams takes the detective into the woods and they go and look at the shed. And, you know, they've got a deal going on where she's going to tell him some stories about crimes, he'll give her some information. So you've got this trade-off thing going on. And
also this sexual tension between the two of them.
Yeah, and it's sexual tension that builds to a little bit more than sexual tension, and we all had to look away a little bit at that scene, didn't we? It was a bit intense. It seems to be that whenever she goes near the shed, it sort of fires her up.
But it's so strange because, of course, also we're being led to believe that she's gang raped there. Yeah. That's part of the story going on in it, isn't there? Yeah. And actually, when she goes into this sexual scene with the policeman, all these horrific flashes are shown up, aren't they? Blood and death and rape and gangs and then she seems to get incredibly turned on, and then and we even see her. Can I say the word?
Well, maybe.
Oh, and so then it gets. So that's left. That I think was to again leave us feeling a bit disorientated. God, is she turned on by all these horrors now that we're?
Oh yeah, and once again, it serves to distance you from her. So I do like this as a performance by Amy Adams. It's not about you can't just identify with her.
But also, I love that because as we all know, sex can bring so many thoughts into your mind, and it doesn't necessarily mean the things that have come up are the things that have turned you on. It can just be the flashes of our horrors.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. You can be trapped in what it brings up for you.
Brilliant. It was a brilliant scene.
Yeah.
We couldn't watch it, any of us. We all brought the pillow up. So she was watching about 15-year-old.
Yeah, it's a bit much. But there was a great scene. So it's part two then slam dunks this, solidifies the relationship between Mum, Dora, and the chief of police. Suddenly stepfather has a little bit of chutzpah. But there's a very good quote by the chief of police where he comes in and says to Dora, we need to talk about your daughters. One is dangerous and one is in danger.
Oh, I missed that line.
Yes.
Yeah, must have been mumbling.
Well, no, I think you were probably looking at your phone.
Mark, one is dangerous
and one is in danger. And obviously what's clever about that is you can't work out which is which.
Because she's always saying that she's dangerous.
Yeah. And then there comes a scene a little bit later where Amy, in this part, Amy goes out to get drunk again. And there's this incredibly protracted scene, I don't know if you noticed, where she comes back and her mum is having a go at her. The chief of police has left late, so he's been there most of the day. And Amy Adams has had her ding-dong with the detective in the woods and had a few drinks as well. And the mum is really sort of mean and malicious with her and says, you're so willful.
She sits and talks from her in the dark.
But she's in the shadows for the entire time. Didn't you think that was strange?
It's really creepy. Loved it.
And I think that's a really good choice of direction because you would shoot a scene like that, and if you don't have any key light on your main character for the entire scene, someone somewhere on that set's going to go, is this the right thing? Do you think we not need to see a little bit more of a right? I thought it was really powerful. I thought it really, really lent the scene. But I did at that point say you need the sonar hearing of a bat and the eyes of an eagle with this show. Because sometimes, unless you are paying full attention, you miss things. Yeah.
I loved that line because that's exactly what you need.
So you had this weird scene where the cheerleader girl, who's the girlfriend of the brother of one of the girls who's died, notices some blood underneath one of the...
And starts to scrub manically, so she's in on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was odd.
That's a real curveball, that. Because he can't be the murderer. It's too obvious.
Yeah.
And now that there's blood under his sofa, it definitely means he's not the murderer.
And then we had this very, very, very intimate scene where the husband, Amy Adams' dad, sort of challenges Dora again and says, you have a very strange idea of being hurt. I lost our daughter too. And I thought that was really powerful. He'd sort of been sort of brooding in the background.
And she says, I didn't ask you to do it in silence. It was vicious.
Oh yeah, she was horrible, wasn't she? I mean, she really is horrible, the mum. The mum is horrible. And then we build towards the end of this episode where clearly I didn't realise the mum owned the pig place.
No,
the mum runs the pig place.
Well, I think she kind of owns everything.
But you see, she says a really interesting thing to the chief of police. At one point, she says, we could have you fired. You could be fired.
Yeah.
She owns that town. She owns the town.
She owns that town.
She's the madame.
Well, no, but Amy Adams did say that right at the beginning. My mum has all the power here. She did say that in episode 1.
Yeah.
But my big thing is, if I was Amy Adams, I'd have moved out and stayed in a motel. Why is she staying there taking this abuse?
When you said that, it suddenly unpicked a major narrative problem. Why don't you just live somewhere else?
Well, I suppose other than maybe she is the abused person and so she goes back to her abuser and is trying to... Yeah.
And then anyway, so we build to this spectacular conclusion, which we had to watch 4 times. We had to rewind it, watch it again, rewind it, watch it. I couldn't hear it, montage. I couldn't see it, I couldn't smell it, I couldn't talk about it.
But it was really good.
It was really good. And so we are at the end not knowing whether we have flashed forward to what is Amy Adams' character's worst fear about her younger sister, or whether she's discovered something catastrophic about her younger sister. And given the shots and sequences preceding it, we don't know if she's been run over, we don't know what's happened to her, we don't know if she's been found dead, we don't know what's going on. But everything is to play for. And I felt that this series needed a jolt in the arm of adrenaline in a big sort of fast moment. And it came right at the end of this episode, I felt, for me.
And it's brilliant.
And it's kept me hooked, wanting to see episode 5.
Can't wait.
Because it is, I have to do this.
Yeah. And rewinding
the
whole time.
So anyway, so join us and hopefully we'll know what's happened to Amy Adams' sister.
Amy Adams.
Oh,
all
she's
of the
very
cast.
good. Amy, you're very good.
Brilliant.
They're all very good. They're all good.
Thank you for it. We're
all of them
loving
are
it.
good. I reckon it's the chief of police.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can know whenever we're putting more fabulous content out to you, our beloved subscribers.
Yeah.